Hey y'all, welcome back. This is episode 6 already for Manly Musings podcast with Merritt and Kevin. Tonight, we are going to get the ball rolling talking about our sports memories and why we love sports again, like we've talked about every week, but the memories that stick with us the most throughout our life so far. We're both about 32 years old, so we got plenty in there, but plenty more to go. So let's kind of jump right in. Kevin, did we miss anything from last week that we want to touch on? Anything at all?
I'm looking through the notes, Merritt. Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. This is Kevin here. I don't really think anything except I believe, if I remember correctly, and forget it, and that's gonna be going into our weekly sports update. I feel like I talked about the Rams being an OBJ option. He's Hollywood. He wants to be in the limelight. Excited for him to see. I'm excited to see how that's gonna go for him. Really, uh, I think it's an interesting choice because I think there's definitely other options that would definitely be better. But they are part of what he wanted on his checklist. He wanted a contender. The Rams are definitely a contender this year. And then unfortunately, well, lucky for him in a sense, but definitely unfortunate for the team. Robert Woods went down this year for the end of the year. Some sort, was it a knee injury?
He tore his ACL in practice on Friday, and
Horrible.
Here's the thing: he finished practice,
That's
went
crazy.
through the media, did everything, was fine, like wasn't feeling it, I guess. And then they were like, all right. And then afterwards, like you get sore and tight after practice, and they did MRIs and like, you tore it. So
Yeah, that
he's
is.
out the rest of this year and probably the beginning of next year, probably going to miss a couple of games next year,
Yeah, for sure.
which kills my
That's.
fantasy team because Robert Woods.
Oh man,
Yeah. So
so
just think
sorry.
that just I lose Woods and Henry on the same team. Yeah, it's great. I just
Yeah.
give up.
So I think that's my only update from last week.
All right.
Everything else, it was a quick episode last week. Hopefully, we can keep this trend going, but you
We'll do
never
our
know.
best.
We're gonna do our best for sure.
I
All
so
right.
this week, Kevin, I know we've been doing the trend now of wrestling shirts for yourself and different hat for me every week. Kevin, you're not wearing a wrestling shirt this week. So
Yes, for
we
those that are watching on our YouTube, as you guys can see, uh, it is all about them boys this week. So for anybody that knows who I am, this weekend I went on a bachelor party for one of my best friends who I'm a groomsman for his wedding. Shout out to my guy Danny. He's been trying to listen to this podcast. Merritt, have we have an update on if this is reaching Spotify soon?
I am trying. I have to figure out how to convert everything over to an MP3. So any listeners out there that know how to convert MA4s or whatever it is that goes into iTunes and knows how to do that for Spotify, let me know
Yeah.
because
Worst comes to worst, you could always watch us on our YouTube channel,
yeah,
Manly Musings Podcast.
that too.
But so back to what I was saying, because I don't want to ramble too long. Cowboys jersey day, number 54. That is the number of former Cowboys linebacker Jalen Smith. I'll be honest, I was not planning on buying a jersey. I try not to buy like jerseys of teams that like I don't follow as much, just because of the fact that my jersey collection is as extensive as it is. But what really sold me, and for those on the YouTube, we'll be able to see it. I got this little patch here. It's established in 1960, so I believe it was last season or 2 seasons ago. They came out with all of their jerseys at the stadium. You'd be able to purchase their jerseys with this commemorative patch for their 60th year. And from what I was talking to one of the employees, I was just kind of like, chopping it up with them. And they're saying, yeah, so pretty much they put it on all of their jerseys, and pretty much whatever is left of them is left of them. They're never to be made again. This patch is never to be recreated. So in a sense, it's kind of like a timeless item if you're a Cowboys fan. So after him talking to me, the jersey was on sale. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it. I don't know when I'm gonna be back in Dallas. It was amazing. The Dallas Cowboys won. If anybody saw the score, it is it was a good time. And I will say to any football fan out there, whether you are a Cowboys fan or not, AT&T Stadium and the experience in Dallas is one like no other. So I would highly recommend you guys go ahead and check out AT&T Stadium.
Yeah,
But
your pictures and everything that you and I are texting all weekend about it all, but it looked awesome. I lived in Austin, but I never went to Dallas. Um,
yeah,
but from everything I've heard and seen, is that stadium is just a
it's
mammoth of a stadium. It's
it
scary
is.
big. Was there actually a car dealership in the stadium?
So great question. You said that. So basically, the AT&T Stadium and the Cowboys have a deal with Ford.
Mhm.
So every year, on the second level of the stadium, it's a Ford section, which is one of AT&T Stadium's standing room only sections. So
Oh,
basically,
Jesus.
Ford owns that set, and they put up all of their new cars that are new for the year for display for people to see. And then those glass windows that you guys see, fun fact, so those were can remain closed or they can remain open.
Oh,
So
cool.
they're like 3 to 5 panels in which they just kind of open up to the slide, to the side, and just slide out like a retractable door, and that's how they get the cars onto the floor. So
Wow.
it is, like I said, honestly, if you're in Dallas, you're going to a game, take the tour. It is definitely worth it. Um, we got to see the suites, we got to see the locker rooms, and fun fact also number two. So after, but the day before every home game, Dallas has what they call a rally day. So basically, so if you're there for the tour, you get pretty much free admission to the rally day. So they have a bunch of things for the kids to do. The outdoor bars are open for all the adults to do. College football is on all day, so you could watch college football while you're socializing with your friends, and it's a great time. Dallas knows how to do it, and everybody else got to take notice or take some lessons. But yeah, shout out to Dallas. Shout out to my guy Dan again for his bachelor party. Hope he had a great time because I know I definitely did. And I mean, if you're in Dallas, just my one last thing. So where we're staying, the view of my hotel was AT&T Stadium, and right down next door is a thing called Texas Live. If anybody that lives in the Philly area has heard of Xfinity Live, it's a very similar thing. Place you can go watch sports, and man, I have never been in an area where like it is rocking for football. So Saturday after the rally day, we watched college football on Saturday. So the whole place, coincidentally, because Atlanta was playing, you had a whole host of Georgia Bulldogs there.
Oh, yeah,
So
I can
Georgia
imagine.
Bull, so it the whole place went from Georgia Bulldog red to Texas A&M maroon in the nighttime because Texas A&M played in the night session. So I was like, I've never been in an area where one, people cared as much for college football, and two, like they were on it. Like you and they had all different types of games on. So right next to us, when we were having dinner, there was a set of Iowa fans that were like yelling for their Iowa Hawkeyes, and then down in front of us to the right was a bunch of Arkansas fans when they were yelling about beating LSU. So for anybody that goes to Dallas, AT&T Stadium, and then Texas Live, that is a must do for you. So, but yes, Merritt, I'm not the only one that did anything this weekend. I know you went somewhere too. Can you tell the people where you went as well?
Well, I'll start with the hat because that's the big thing this
Yeah,
on with
start
us.
off with that hat. It's a very
So
interesting hat.
this hat, if you're from New Hampshire, this is a very iconic um, staple of New Hampshire. Is the old man of the mountain, who is no longer actually on a mountain. This is actually what it used to look like. A view of him. He fell. Family is actually in charge of keeping him up there. He fell, I want to say just over 10, 15 years ago, to Reflection Lake below. So he's no longer there, but they have kind of some nice little images and stuff up above them now. But this is from the local minor league baseball team in Manchester, New Hampshire, the Manchester Fisher
Nice.
Cats. Free promo for him out there. Fun little spot to go if you're ever in Manchester, New Hampshire during the summer. They're an affiliate with the Blue Jays. So they had Vladimir Guerrero Jr. there one year. Guy was launching home runs way over the wall
Oh man, I
for a
can only
while.
imagine.
But they created this hat, probably 3-4 seasons ago. They don't wear it often. It's just like the Red Sox this year, where they do the marathon color jerseys, the city jerseys, like Nike does now. Kind of same idea. They just threw out different kind of hat. And I just really like this one. They do a Republican and Democratic one. They do an Uncle Sam one. They do a lot of different versions because it's the minor league. So you always want to bring people in. But this is definitely one of my favorite hats I've gotten from a ballpark. As for my weekend, I actually had my brother-in-law, his girlfriend, and his best friend down Saturday, and they left, yesterday morning. But we went to the Bills Jets game in MetLife. So this is my second time to MetLife. Both times watching the Jets get completely embarrassed on a football field, which honestly wasn't anything new. They looked horrible. But it was a great time. Bills fans are an interesting bunch. They are all super crazy. It definitely felt like a college game atmosphere with Bills fans. They drink heavily, eat a lot of food. I haven't drank like I did on Sunday in a very long time. So,
oh my goodness. I mean, I
so
feel
yesterday
your
was
pain.
a
I feel your pain.
rough. Yesterday was rough. For sure. I did make it to the gym, which is a surprise. I did not expect to do that.
Proud of you. I made it to yoga yesterday after getting off my flight, and I was hurting a lot.
Yeah, the flights from I've flown from Austin back to Boston, and it's not a fun flight. It's especially if you're hungover. But it was a good weekend. I had a great time with family and stuff down here. Happy life is kind of back to normal, where it's like you don't have to entertain people. But honestly, great time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Besides the one time that I put on my Patriots beanie because it was cold. I was like, my head's freezing. So I was like, I'm just throwing my beanie on. And I was walking up with food and like a couple drinks, and a Bills fan started giving me a hard time wearing a Patriots hat. I'm like, bro, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm here with my brother-in-law that's a Bills fan. So of course I'm wearing a Fitzmagic jersey, like enjoying the game. Like, don't need to be
you had a Fitzpatrick jersey on?
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Oh my God.
Yeah, bro. It was great.
I love the Fitzmagic.
And that was like the only downside. This guy started harassing me for wearing this hat. So I stood up and I looked at him.
Stupid.
He was like 2 rows behind me. I'm like, what the hell are you gonna do? Like, when did you win anything? Have you been relevant besides the past 2 years? Like, yeah, good for you. You beat the Patriots last year. When was the last time before that? 10 years prior with Fred Jackson. Good job. Let's move on. He kept saying stuff, and like people around him started saying stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm a lot bigger than any one of you up here. So,
oh my God, don't get yourself into fights, please and thank you, sir.
Nothing. I will tell you, nothing happened.
Good.
He walked away. He kept drinking his beer, and
good, because people that go to MetLife,
I enjoyed the game.
Just idiots.
Oh yeah, this guy definitely was. But I enjoyed the game. It was a lot of fun. But let's jump into football here. So let's get some weekly updates, we got? Sport updates. Honestly, the Odell Beckham Jr. to the Rams, did not see that coming on my own end. I thought there would be other teams, but from everything I've seen on like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, is he did not have a good first game, and they're all like giving Stafford crap about it, and memes of being like, so have you seen the video my dad made from the Browns? Yeah, watch out. It's like, oh, okay. Like,
I mean, I think, well, the one thing I was reading is that McVay made a statement. Is that his name? Sean McVay? Yeah. He made a statement saying that, when we talked to Odell, we'd let him know, if you're open, we're going to try and throw the ball to you, but, we're not going to go ahead and make significant snaps just for you, which is definitely a statement that I'm like, wow, and he decided to still sign with them. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll get into the groove more once he's like, practices more with the team and understands the offense and the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's technically number 3 receiver. So is he would be number 3. I'm trying to, because I know it used to be Woods, but Cooper Kupp is crushing it. So you already know most of the snaps are going to him.
Yeah, he's probably number 2 right now behind Cooper Kupp. Jefferson's pretty good too, the rookie.
Van Jefferson, right?
Yeah, so
that's his name. And then their tight end is solid, Tyler Higbee.
Higbee's okay. Higbee's not anything.
He's usually like a 4th option normally.
Yeah, he's like the 4th or 5th option on that team. Because even their running backs aren't too bad outside the backfield. I really don't want to talk about this team because it just pulls at my heartstrings every week, and we put ourselves through it.
This is why we're here. Like this next topic is why we're here. And I mean, Merritt, I'll go ahead and talk about it because it's hurting you. I already see it on the screen.
It's so bad.
So for those that don't know who follow college football, West Virginia lost their game against Kansas State in a very convincing fashion. I believe it was second play of the game, threw right into an ignorant interception that turned into a pick 6. And
yeah, it was the second. It was
the
second play of the game.
Second play of the game, popped out of his
receiver's helmet.
Yep.
And caught and was turned for they didn't get a pick 6 on it, but they scored a touchdown off of that.
Yeah.
So it just, from that point on, you knew it wasn't going to be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, and it was funny because me and a couple of our buddies, when we were out on Saturday, we kept loading the game because I think that game was on FS1 or something, or it was a harder channel to find. So, and you just saw it started off 17-0, and then finally we get a field goal, and then they get put it up to 24-3, and then all of a sudden they kept scoring again. So I think right now it's, this next game coming up this weekend is really going to be the tell if anybody sees it on YouTube, horns down. They're playing Texas, who also had a really rough loss this weekend too. Talk about, pulling at your heartstrings.
They lost
against Kansas.
Hadn't had a conference win in over 2 years.
Yeah. And they came back from 21 down to just lose it in overtime, which I think is pretty upsetting. But I digress.
Yeah.
With I think it's really going to tell how is this team going to respond? Is this truly the end of the season, or are we going to try and make a run? Because right now we're 4-6. If we hit 6 wins, we're bowl eligible. But I don't know.
I honestly almost want to say I don't want to even have them in a bowl game, because why am I going to watch that game? They're going to play someone from the SEC or from Pac-12, and I'm just going to sit there and go, why am I going to watch this?
Remember, our love for college football, and I know we talked about it in the previous weeks. Sometimes we just want to see them make it to the end, make it to the postseason, see some sort of progression. Yeah. I mean, that is really the key, I think, that I'm looking for them. I want to see some progression, that they've learned from the hardships this year and that they're progressing. So you'd be excited for a nice start next year.
I think if they put in the young guys and Doge does not see a football field for the rest of the year, would make everything so much better. I know he's got the most
not yards. Looking likely.
Yeah, I know. He looks better every game according to the coach. But let's talk about the good side of West Virginia right now. The basketball team. Granted, it's early. They are 2-0.
Shout out to them beating Pitt.
Yes, they annihilated Pitt. I saw the end of that game. My wife and I got back from seeing the movie Eternals on Friday, and I was like, "Ooh, I got to put on the Pitt game." Oh my God, that was just Pitt had no chance. West Virginia, though, being 2-0 and just manhandling the 2 teams that they've played so far, are not in the top 25.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what?
I mean, it always happens that way, though.
I'll take it. I will take being the underdog all year long because we're pretty good. I'm really liking this team. I think I like this team more than the last year's team with McBride. I think they complement each other a little bit better with the passing abilities. And Culver, I love them, but they're moving the ball so much better without like a big man that needs to touch the ball every play.
I hear you. I think it'll be interesting. So they play Elon on Thursday, Eastern Kentucky on Friday. They play, I don't know who this BU is. I'm assuming Boston University.
Yeah, they play Boston University.
Boston University. And then, because I think that has to do with some sort of tournament that they're in.
Yeah, they're in the
something in South Carolina. It's like I forgot what it's called.
If they were supposed to be in the Bahamas tournament, but because of COVID, they're not down there. I think they're up in South Carolina or something.
Yeah, something like that. But I think, I need to see more from them being more consistent.
Yeah.
I think I watched the highlights because I didn't get a chance to see the game on Friday for obvious reasons. But I love the effort of rebounding from the new guard, Malik Curry. I think him and Ketty Johnson are going to be a dynamic duo if they can continue that, that pressure defense and continue to go after the ball. Because I remember listening to all of Huggins' press conferences, and all he would talk about is, we don't know how to rebound. And our guys just stand around and watch the ball instead of going to go get it. So we can continue that along with a combination of us hitting shots. Because I think we are a dangerous team when we are able to get rebounds and we're able to hit our shots. Because you don't want to leave us open, and that opens up those guys that like to take it to the hole, and then they take it to the hole, they kick it out to guys that are just hitting threes. We're unstoppable, and I'm curious to see a little bit more of the big guys to see how they're going to integrate themselves, like the transfer from DePaul, Polycap, that transfer from FIU.
As long as Gabe just keeps taking charges and getting rebounds, I don't care.
Yeah, Gabe is solid. Gabe has been, from what I'm seeing, he's getting a lot better offensively.
He was hitting a couple jumpers and close range, like hook shots, which last year you were not seeing him do unless it was a dunk or an easy layup.
Yeah. I think he's
definitely improved.
He's definitely just got to make sure he stays out of foul trouble. He knows now how the Big 12 is. So hopefully he's learned how to properly make sure he's not using his hands too much or just holding his arms up. Mm-hmm. But, West Virginia basketball is here. We're excited for it. I'm excited to see where this season goes. Hopefully to another Thanksgiving, tournament trophy to come our way. I thoroughly enjoy watching them get those just to set us up for Big 12 play. Yeah. And I think if I looked at the schedule properly, a couple of the games down the slate, December 8th against the UConn Huskies.
They'll wipe the floor with the Huskies.
That's going to be a good one. Other non-conference games, Kent State at UAB, Youngstown State. Honestly, we probably can go realistically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably 10-0 until we hit January 1st, where we play the Longhorns.
Yeah.
So,
Longhorns, I'm not worried about them. They just got their butts handed to them by Gonzaga by almost 26 points, something like that the other day.
Yeah.
Granted, Gonzaga is the best team in the country, but still, no.
Yeah. Honestly, let's jump right ahead. Let's keep jumping.
Let's keep going. We don't want to stay stagnant on one thing too long. Big news came out today that I saw this afternoon. Coach Krzyzewski down at Duke. His grandson plays for him, and the number one recruit in the country, who is a potential number one overall draft prospect for the NBA. Both got pulled over on Sunday morning for DUWI and aiding and abetting a police chase. So that's not good. That's not a good look for the program and Coach K personally, because if it's his grandson, definitely not something you thought you would ever see out of that. Very sad. Granted, no one got hurt, no one was injured at all. But their court hearings are in a couple of weeks. It does look like Paolo is actually playing tonight. I don't know what kind of message that sends to the full, not just to Duke in the roster and the university, but to kind of college basketball as a whole. Kind of saying, hey, you made a mistake. We're still going to let you go play. I kind of think, in my personal opinion, is he shouldn't be playing until his court hearing is over with, and you kind of get what happened afterwards. So, Kevin, are you frozen? You look like you're frozen.
I can still hear you, but I feel like you're frozen.
Oh, okay. I'm not frozen on my end. You're frozen on my end. So,
oh no.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh gosh.
As long as we keep talking, we're good.
Yeah, we'll just keep on talking and we'll rock it out.
And then other big news was something I saw literally right before. Kevin, there you are. Okay, so Kevin dropped and he's back. But now I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Oh my gosh!
Difficulties. First time
technical,
in 6 episodes.
First one, yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Next big thing is Fenway Sports Group, which owns the Boston Red Sox. They own Liverpool, Fenway Roush Racing. LeBron James is part of them. All that fun jazz. Is potentially buying the Pittsburgh Penguins. Very weird. I would never see them purchasing that, but I guess they want to continue growing their sports portfolio, which is good for them. Penguins are worth $832 million. So pretty good franchise, one of the original 6. Interesting idea right there, but any thoughts there, Kevin? I know you're a Pittsburgh kind of fan, so
yeah. I'll be honest, I'm definitely not a Penguins fan. But shout out to them exploring their ventures, expanding their little, marketplace. But I did want to touch on the previous subject matter before I somehow dropped off the call. So with Coach K and his grandson and one of the top picks next year, I want to say Paolo Banchero. What a name. I dig it. But,
not an easy one. It does not roll off the tongue.
Definitely doesn't. But, for sure, I know you talked about them, probably shouldn't be playing, but I know that all these schools always do this. They always talk about, they want to get the facts first, until we find out the actual facts, then I know they don't normally do anything, which is weird. Because if this was any other person, things would probably happen, automatically, and just they would have a decision already. But we're gonna see what happens, see what the ruling is, the judge rulings are, and then I know it from my understanding, they're gonna review it, and then it's gonna be pretty much based up to the athletics and university officials for whatever consequences come around. So we'll wait and see. But at the end of the day, I look at it this way, trying to see the lighter side of it. These kids are 20, 21 years old.
Well,
somebody.
No, they're not.
Wait, hold on. What is it? How old is it?
How old is only 18. He's a
Severino's 20. Okay. Oh, okay.
So this
I must have missed the age part. So one is 18
and one
is 20. So they're both underage. I mean, come on. All right. So now that I thought they were a lot older. That's I read my thing wrong.
No. So I think that throws a lot more weight onto the situation. Is if you say, hey, this, we're just going to give you a slap on the wrist, you're not going to play for 2 games. Okay, that doesn't prove a point. It doesn't really give them a lesson learned.
Yeah. We'll see. I think we'll see what happens. We got to see the severity of everything going on with what happened. And I think it's just a matter of, lesson learned to these guys. You guys are some high profile names. You guys do something, it's going to get out. Lesson learned.
Yep.
Hopefully they learn it. If they don't, then they're going to have some trouble later on if they don't understand the wrongs of their ways.
All right.
But
so
I'm pretty much on that one.
we are going to cut everything here. We're going to jump into what this episode's actually all about. Our
Yes.
sports memories. So we've broken it down into categories: best in person, best on TV, biggest letdown, all those kind of things that really revolve sport memories for anyone that enjoys watching them, or is a fan of a team. So Kevin, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to let you start with
have me
best
start
in-person sport memory.
In-person sport memory. Gosh, I've been to so many darn events. One of the easy ones, but I'm not going to include it. I won't write it down in our thing. Is I got to be in person for the Super Bowl when it was here at MetLife Stadium. But I don't want to include that one just as like I'll call it as a honorary mention. But let me see. All right, Merritt, I want to type one of them and let me know what you see. I see yours. I think that's a cool one.
Man, you are struggling today typing, huh?
I know.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. All right, so Kevin, you got to tell everyone what you are muted. You're cannot hear you. Can't hear you. Your mic. Okay, so Kevin has no idea that we cannot hear him, so I'm gonna have to text him. Hold on, this is hysterical. This is the second time we've had issues today. All right, so let's see. I just sent him the text. Oh, okay, so he dropped. So I'm assuming Kevin is having some technical difficulties tonight. So we'll do our best with this one. I'm not sure when he is going to jump back on. Okay, there he is. Kevin, you're still no, we still can't hear you.
What is going on today?
I don't know, but it is definitely on you. I don't know.
It is definitely on me because
Yeah.
I all of a sudden I saw your network is unstable, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So were you able to hear? What did you hear from me?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Zero.
Oh my god,
Dude, I'm sitting over here waving, like going, Kevin, we can't hear you.
We are having a hell of a time doing this podcast, so that we're definitely not gonna be under an hour this time. But so did you get at least my first one?
So you typed it, and then
that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first in sport memory is Odell Beckham's one-handed catch. I was in the building for that. I know I was working, but I was able to actually catch that moment in person, which was just amazing. It was the loudest I've ever heard the stadium cheer in my life. After all the years I've worked there, and just the fact that it got so viral and that everyone is currently trying to replicate that catch, and now everybody thinks that that's the normal catch now. So the fact that I got to see that in person is really awesome.
Dude, playing flag football, that's all I do. I used to just grab it like this.
I love it. Second one is I got to watch the Golden State Warriors their last year in the Oracle Arena.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, and they played against the Knicks. And I just remember Klay Thompson, he scored like 40 points, hit like 10 or 12 3-pointers, and he only dribbled the ball like 10 times the entire game. And he just lit the Knicks up. So that was a really, really cool memory for me. And oh my goodness, and it just came to me. Hold on. These are two games that I'm going to put down. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
I was there for these two.
So Michael Jordan, I'm assuming is your MJ.
Yes.
Why do you have Meadowlands? Because
So the Meadowlands is formerly known as the Continental Airlines Arena, aka the Izod Center, where the Nets played. And I
oh,
had half season tickets this year. And one of the games we got on our plan was against the Wizards. And this was the year Jordan announced that he was officially retiring. And then Kobe was, I don't understand how the hell I forgot that. It's just that I've been through so many events. But for me, you guys know, whoever knows me, that I love Kobe and that I got to witness him for the last time in person. I remember I bought tickets that day. Tickets were skyrocketing up, and I was able to get like one of the last lower level seats. So uh those would be my last ones. It was awesome.
all right.
So
So
yeah,
I
enough of me, Merritt. I would love to hear yours. Yours looks awesome right now.
I had to switch mine up because of what you just brought up a little bit, but I might bring in the other one too. So probably my favorite is I've mentioned this memory before in a previous podcast, but it would definitely be going to opening day after the Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino with my dad. Definitely the coolest sports
Amazing.
memory ever to be a part and to witness that, watch the team, get their championship rings. Granted, I watched every single game of the playoffs the year before, leading into that. So it definitely was a cool experience. That Fenway, if you've ever been there during a game, it's electric majority of the time. This was just unreal. The atmosphere around the city itself just felt different. It felt, not just like a normal baseball game. It was something that it felt like an accomplishment. And granted, it was, but it was just so cool to be a part of it and watch and be in that stadium when they got their rings and watching, McGinnis, Pierce, Brewski, and Bobby Orr walk out and throw. Oh no, it was Bill Russell. Sorry, throwing out the first pitches. Like that was so cool. Like watching them come out, and you're just going, "There's four sport icons and coming out to do this." So that was definitely big. Another one was when I lived in Arizona, right before I moved to Texas. It was opening night for the Phoenix Suns. It was actually the opening night for the NBA.
Nice.
And it was Kobe Bryant's last opening game. So his last year in the NBA. So as you're saying, it was his last game in Brooklyn. This was his last opening night. And it was so cool. I remember that, Bank of America Stadium where they play out in Arizona was 95% purple and gold. But it was just so cool. He dropped, I think, like 25 points on the Suns, just balled out. It was awesome to watch. We were, at the time, was my girlfriend at the time. She had gotten tickets for us. We were sitting behind the basket, like 13 rows up, but it was still so cool to be a part of watching that. Another memory would be one of the first games at Gillette Stadium with my dad. He got tickets for the Jets Patriots game, and it was Asante Samuel's rookie year. And Chad Pennington tried to test him. He failed miserably, and Asante Samuel had a pick, like a 60-yard pick six, went untouched, just ran down straight down the sideline. It was awesome. So those are some of my top memories for sure.
Those are some solid memories. We
Yeah.
have some really great in-person memories. We were super lucky. We're super lucky.
I know, seriously, like where the time frame in which we've grown up sports wise for our teams.
It's been one of the best for them for sure.
Oh yeah. Especially being a Patriot fan, like we sucked for a long time.
You have another one? I see you're typing out one more.
I'm just typing up the one I just talked about.
Yes. First six in Gillette Stadium.
Right, so let's go with greatest watching on TV.
Oh, yes. All right. So for me, one that definitely stands out because I can remember. So with this, you got to think about where you were at the time of like and what place. So for me, West Virginia, our alma mater, winning the Big East championship. I remember we were in one of our friends' dorms at the district. We all went over to his place for a party. And I just remember the feeling of watching Deshaun Butler run up to the rim. He throws up that crazy layup. It goes in against Georgetown. They go on, and then they missed the shot, that layup that they tried to do. We won the game by one, won the Big East championship for the first time ever. Just the feeling of excitement and the electricity of that moment. It just resonates me as an alum, as a fan. You could probably attest to it as well. I just had to put that moment on there as we're WV alums out here. That moment that when we were in college is just
That was
forever amazing.
One of those one of those memories that I can't remember it too well because I wasn't in West Virginia. I didn't go to West Virginia at that time. But that was probably one of the memories that like made me think of, this is why I want to go to school there, sports wise, because of like what this team is doing. So
yeah, that one is a big one. Steelers Super Bowl win in 2009. Again, it's like when you remember like where you were at places, that's what makes them special. I remember it was a group of us in one room in our dorm, and the next room were a bunch of like fans that hated the Steelers. So it was all of us Steelers fans in this one room. And I just remember when Harrison got that interception and he ran that 101 or 102 yards for the touchdown, and he had to get the oxygen mask at the end. And then also that San Antonio Holmes catch in the end zone. I just remember screaming. I remember we banging on the door of the other room of the other team. We almost broke their TV because it was against the wall and almost fell over, which was hilarious. But that memory, gotta love number 6 for the Steel City and Larry Johnson's 4-point play. So for those that know, I'm a Knicks fan. 1999 special year. We have tons of moments there. You can name when the Knicks were the 8th seed that year. They faced the Miami Heat. Game 5, Allen Houston gets a floater with a lucky bounce to send the Heat home. And then you go into the Eastern Conference Finals that year. Larry Johnson hits a 3-pointer to tie up the game against Reggie Miller and the Pacers. You just watch, like, when you watch that scene from the overhead cam, he hits the 3, you see the crowd just erupt. And you almost thought that there was like dynamite on the floor with how like the crowd erupted. It's an amazing feeling. We went to the finals that year. Unfortunately, we lost to the San Antonio Spurs and the up and coming Tim Duncan that year, 4-1. A lot of great players on that Spurs team with David Robinson, Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott, Mario Elie, and the rest of those guys. But yeah, that one's a memory that any Knicks fan, that's got to be one of your top memories as a fan. So yeah, that I know I don't. It's funny because a lot of people would be surprised I didn't put any Lakers like memories there. I mean, I love my Lakers and I love my Kobe, but like I'm trying. I could put all of those down because I definitely watched all of them, but I wanted to pick 3 that were like all in different genres. So for all my friends that know me out there, yeah, make sure yell at me later for not putting any Lakers highlights. But
I'm gonna jump into mine.
Do yours.
My first one is MJ's 6th championship. I remember being a kid. I was 8, 9 years old when he won his 6th ring. So
good.
I just remember that game, begging my parents, like, Dad, I just want to stay up. I want to stay up. I want to stay up. Let me stay up. And he goes, okay, you can stay up. I watched the first quarter. And of course, being 8, 9 years old, hits like 9 o'clock and you're just kind of doing this. I'm falling asleep. like I do nowadays. Like I'm 32 and I'm falling asleep at 8 o'clock. Kind of how funny how life works. But I just remember my dad waking me up in the beginning of the fourth quarter and being like, "Hey, wake up! Like it's it's a good game," and just that iconic step back and just draining it. It's just something that sticks with me to this day. Like it's just one of those best moments I've ever was able to watch live on TV. Seeing him win a championship. Like I know there's so many people out there that will never see what he actually did. That we can watch all the tape, but like watching it live on TV was so cool. Another
especially
one.
that little step back, man.
Did he push off or did he not? He did not push off. Let's be honest. He had the hand on it, but the momentum of that guy was gone. He was gone.
I mean, it was proven that he didn't push off. The referee never set the call. So
yep. Another. I'm going to stick with the NBA theme here. The 08 championship with the Celtics. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Kendrick Perkins, Leon Poe.
Just name all of them. Come on, Scott Pollard. You got it. Let's go. Let's
Scott Pollard. He did. God, the white man at the end of the bench. My God. But that team was so much fun to watch. And then, of course, like Garnett at the end, like yelling, anything's possible. Pierce finally bringing a championship to Boston. I loved it more the simple fact that put us ahead of the Lakers to 17 championships over 15 for them. So that was huge for me. I just love that simple fact. Was always nice. And then the last one, everyone in New England's probably going to say, be like, oh, I'd be like Patriots Super Bowl wins. Yes, those are all iconic. Those are all amazing, especially the one against the Falcons. That's most recent history. But I'm going to go with the 2001 AFC Championship game, Patriots Steelers. This is when, gosh, I'm now blanking on the quarterback's name for the Steelers.
Roethlisberger?
No. Oh, one? No. Gosh. I can see.
Are you talking about Cordell Stewart?
Thank you. I knew it was Cordell, but I was going to say Cordell Patterson. I was like, that's very wrong. Cordell Stewart. Brady gets knocked out of the game, and the Steelers are winning the game. They are looking like they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Bledsoe steps in, and Bledsoe just balls out in that game to get the team there. He puts the team on his back like he had for 8 years already. So that was awesome. I definitely think that was one of the best moments, especially because they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh for that game. So that was awesome. Definitely happy to remember that one. Sorry to all our Steeler fans out there.
Hurting me out here, sir.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Not sorry. Let's be honest.
I know you're definitely not sorry. It's okay.
I'm definitely not sorry at all. It just makes me laugh, as you can tell. All right, so let's jump into, usually I'll have our favorite sport memories, but there's also those that are the biggest letdowns. There's those moments where it takes the wind out of your sail, or it makes you just kind of lean back in your seat, throw your arms up, or grab your closest alcoholic beverage and chug it. Either way, it's what you want to do. But Kevin, what is your biggest sport memory letdown?
Did you see a couple of the ones I wrote down?
Yeah, I'm gonna laugh at majority of those for sure.
So first one, I'll talk about the one I was there in person. You guys may remember it known as the Butt Fumble. So my first year working at the stadium. Yep, Merritt is currently laughing. If you guys are watching on the YouTube or just listening. Sorry. The Butt Fumble with Mark Sanchez. We had a Thanksgiving Day game against the Patriots. Big time rivalry. And I just can still picture the groans of like the Jets crowd that day. You just hear, oh. And then you go back and see the highlight of him running into his lineman's buttocks, and he fumbles the ball, and then the Patriots go ahead and take it back. It is, I mean, I'm lucky. I am not a Jets fan. To all my Jet fans out there, I apologize for bringing back that moment. But yeah, that is a hard one. And my next one, watching it on TV
Oh,
is really, really, really. I'm a huge basketball fan, and I was a big fan of both of these teams as much as they were facing my Lakers. But definitely, biggest letdown is not seeing either or of the Sacramento Kings or the Portland Trail Blazers get over the hump against the Lakers. Like Merritt, you talk about one of the best moments you see on TV. I mean, I still see that alley oop lob from Kobe to Shaq for that alley oop that he does, and then the Lakers just took the lead from this series after they were down by like 9. And I just vividly remember, you know, it was the year that they traded away Jason Williams from the
mm-hmm.
Kings, Mike Bibby's first year with Sacramento, and they're balling out, but Shaq just runs him over in Sacramento. Vlade Divac gets called for his like 5th foul,
Yep.
and pretty much without Vlade trying to equalize Shaq, they just had no chance in stopping the Lakers. And I just remember the feeling of like, I know my sister was a big Mike Bibby fan, so like not seeing the Kings win, she was upset. And I was like semi upset just because I would have loved to see like Chris Webber and then like fight for a ring. And then also same with the Blazers the year before. That team, if you really think about that team with the Blazers with Scottie Pippen, Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith, you're talking like Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Rasheed Wallace, a young Jermaine O'Neal, and Ruben Patterson. I can go on and on with these names. If you guys grew up in the 2000s, you would know who they are. But those days of the 2000s definitely were the biggest letdowns in my opinion to watch. I don't have like a baseball memory or like a I don't know if I have any other crazy memories. The only other biggest letdown I could definitely remember, which you will definitely enjoy, is the Yankees losing to the Red Sox for the first time in forever. That is very painful. And then
Mariano
having to
Rivera.
continuously hear, oh, Kurt Schilling, his ankle's about to fall off. He's bleeding. Ah, shut up. Ugh.
No, I just remember Mariano Rivera letting up all those runs in game 4
Ugh.
in the
I don't
bottom
want
of
to
the
talk
ninth
about it. Yep.
and
That's
just
tearing at me
blowing the
again.
lead.
Tearing at me again.
And then the next game, Johnny Damon comes up to bat and hits a grand slam. Yeah. Oh no, he hit a
Ugh.
home run and then he hit a grand slam later. Yep. Yep. That
Ugh.
was Boston Jesus right there until he went to the evil empire and looked like an idiot.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that.
I do think that's the one thing that Yankees need to change is like this whole clean shaven, like short haircut type mentality. Like, guys, let's change it up a little bit. It just doesn't work anymore. You guys aren't winning anymore. Like, change it up.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I'm gonna jump into mine. I'm gonna save my first one to go second that I wrote down here because that'll tear at my heartstrings. And Kevin's gonna laugh. Kevin's gonna be like, ha,
I'm not
ha,
gonna
ha.
laugh. I'm not gonna laugh. I'm just, I'm understanding your pain right now.
Yeah. So my first one though is I'm a huge UNC basketball fan, like I've mentioned before. And it was the 2018 national championship game against Villanova.
Ooh.
UNC came out on a tear, had a great game behind Jackson and I can't remember the other guy that was on the team, but Jackson was the big name. I think he plays for the Kings now. But they played great. Villanova had great defense though. They I think like 3 or 4 of those guards just playing in the NBA still. And it was just back and forth. And UNC goes down, hits a shot at the end of the game to to take the lead, and you're like, all right, here it is. Here it is. That's all. You just need to just pressure the ball, and that's it. Yeah, ball got through everybody and just drained a 3 to win the game by 1. And I just remember watching it and just slinking out of my chair going, well, that sucked. I've kind of just like the whole air came out of your balloon feeling, which definitely sucked, but let down, not horrible. I didn't cry or anything. This next memory definitely made me cry. And it would be
this would make all my Giant fans so happy.
Every Giant fan very happy with the 07 Patriots losing to the Giants.
Is this the year that they had Randy Moss?
No, this is not the year. The second time around that they played them is when they had Randy Moss.
Well, I'll definitely say that is definitely a big letdown for me, because I really loved how Randy Moss, like, in a sense, kind of grew up in front of everybody, and like to get his ish together. For him to like not win it after that, that one definitely was pulled at me a little bit, even though I'm not a Patriots fan and I'm not a Giants fan. But go ahead, sir, continue.
So freaking somehow Patriots blow, like, just it's back and forth. They had a huge lead to start the game, and then the Giants kind of chipped away. Asante Samuel should have had a easy pick, but bobbled the ball and didn't get his left foot down. So that kind of helped the drive go along. And then somehow Eli Manning evades 4 attempts at attack. I don't know how the most unathletic quarterback besides Tom Brady and Peyton Manning escaped the pocket and then throws a Hail Mary to midfield, and freaking Tyree just jumps up and catches the ball like this. I don't even know. Like, I can't even fathom that, how I felt back then. It's coming back. I'm going, I feel disgusted watching, like, even thinking of this memory.
Oh, yeah. That one's you as a Patriots fan watching that, I can only imagine how sick it and then, of course, makes you feel.
4 years later, going to the Super Bowl again and playing Giants again, and then losing again. I hate the Giants so much.
I totally get it. I totally get it. It's a struggle.
But you know what? I would not trade any of the 6 Super Bowl championships that we have for one of those 2 Super Bowls.
Because I respect that.
It'd be great to have the 17-0 and all of that. Be great to be what? Oh no, not 17, 19-0, because we had the 3 extra games. But you know what? It's just another thing you put in the Hall of Fame. We have 6 Super Bowl titles. There's only 2 or 3 other teams that have that. So
you guys have 6, right?
Yeah.
I think the Steelers have 6 and Cowboys have 5.
And 49ers have, I think, 6.
Do they really?
I think so. I think it's 3 teams have 6. But either way,
we'll have to look that up. And
we'll look that
maybe
up.
Somebody could like answer that for us.
I'm probably
next
wrong.
Week.
It's been a long day. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I'm happy where the Patriots are landed right now, especially with what they're looking like coming after you, Buffalo. Let's go. But Kevin, let's jump into the last little bit of this segment here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and this is really difficult.
Our best,
because like what are the
sports memory?
What's the criteria here though? Because
nothing that we've already said. You cannot pick something that you've already said in this episode.
Because
in this episode,
there's so many different things that you can go. Because number one, you and I haven't even talked about Olympic sports yet.
I probably won't.
Yeah,
Don't really.
because those are some great sports memories to
I
think of.
actually I
Also,
could go with a sport memory based off the Olympics. I won't say it's the best all around. I will throw this one out there because my cousin is a professional photographer. He was a
okay,
professional photographer for years for Burton until probably 5-6 years ago when the company, a lot of companies back then were laying off a lot of individuals. He was one of the higher paid guys, laid off. Okay, no big deal. Kind of understands that. But he was a professional photographer and he followed around Shaun White. So if you guys don't know who Shaun White is, probably the best snowboarder ever.
no, yeah, for sure,
The
100%.
Flying Tomato, like he was unbelievable. My cousin got to travel all over the world with him. If you've ever seen the American Express commercial where Shaun White is like, oh, where are we going next? The guy in the commercial that jumps over him, says, hey, get up, lazy bones, let's do this. That's my cousin. That's legit my cousin in those commercials. But he was at the Vancouver Winter Olympics. And when Shaun was, quoted as saying, let's get this fucking shit done, because he knew he was going to win on his last run. He knew it. And he said it live on national television and everyone got so mad. But like texted my cousin the next day and I was like, how was the experience after? I watched it and it was unbelievable. My cousin goes, I can't take pictures because it's for the Olympics. I'm not licensed for that. But he goes, afterwards was probably one of the best nights ever. He goes, we just stayed up until like 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. And it's like, holy shit, that's awesome. But like, that's, to me, that's not my memory. That's kind of a cool story with my cousin and all that.
Yeah.
But
Because like it's funny you mentioned Olympics because I don't want to say it's the all around best sports memory because I just know that like this is something that I grew up with and like just thinking about all of the trials and tribulations of what happens. I'm going to preface merit. What I'm going to write down here is I don't want to say it's the all around best sports memory I can think of, but if you were telling me to put in a different sports type of memory, that's the best I can think of in my head. That type of question, I'm going to type this in.
Okay. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
All right. So what I wrote as just a preface to be different. If I think about all around best sports memory, thinking about something that is, pulls at your heartstrings, tears every emotion. You're extremely nervous. You're freaking out. You're excited. The sadness, the joy. And for me, I went 96 Olympics in Atlanta. The Magnificent Seven, gymnastics, USA women's gymnastics, winning gold. Shout thanks to Carrie Strug. For those that don't know, I'm just gonna paint the picture for you. Team USA, their last event is the vault. Two or three of the athletes go. Carrie Strug runs. She goes off her vault. She misses. She falls. She also gets hurt. Everyone sees her visibly limping on her way back. She's trying to debate if she can go again. She pulls the will to do one last vault. She goes ahead, runs, does her little twirly thing, sticks the landing, and then has to be carried off the floor by their coach, Bella Caroli. And then you just hear it's silent in the crowd, and then all of a sudden the roar that she had an amazing score that pretty much was enough for Team USA to win. It's just that moment that I can think of right now is just one that you just think about the comeback. It was Team USA's journey back again since they've been building and building. They never can beat the Romanians or the Chinese, but Team USA was able to prevail. And those 7 gymnasts will forever live in infamy because that's what little girls want to grow up doing, is to be in the Olympics and be a gymnast. And yeah, I just remember seeing that for the first time when I was young. My sister was big into it. I remember she would buy books about them and do like book reports on a couple of the Magnificent Seven, like Dominic Dawes and Dominic Mucciano. And yeah, I think that's one that I can give you. That's something different.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people would call it the best sports memory ever. I don't care.
Well, everyone's gonna have something different.
I think it's all we're all based off of perception, people.
It's all objective. Who cares?
Let me know if you don't like my reason. You guys can go ahead and yell at me later. But hey, Merritt, I would love to hear your best all-around sports memory you can think of.
Man, this is tough. Like, I thought this would be a little bit easier when I was like writing this up last week. Hey,
yeah, I know. Shout out to you for making it way harder on us. Yeah, but this is good though. This is what we do. We do it for the people.
You know what? I think I'd have to go. I'm going to keep the Olympic theme going.
Okay.
But honestly, let's be honest. I didn't care about the Olympics. Honestly, to this date, I don't really care about the Olympics. They've just kind of fallen at the wayside. Like, I don't think I even watched. I think I watched 2 basketball games of the Olympics this past year because of time frames.
Yeah, that's what makes it so hard with the Olympics, is that, like, all right, especially with now because of social media, like, you already heard what happened already, and you're like, oh, darn, I missed it. But then they do the replay at night, but it's like, well, if you already heard it, then mentally it's like you're not going to be fully invested because you already know what's going to happen. I'm just curious to see what Merritt's doing. Okay. All
right. So this is a real life event for me. It was 2006, 2007, something around there. I got to go to France and Spain for 10 days in high school during the summer. It was awesome. It was such a cool experience. I got to go to, Paris, Nice, Madrid, Barcelona, were our 4 big cities. I would highly recommend anyone that wants to go and see some beautiful European history, or just go to Europe and explore. Nice needs to be on your bucket list. It's right on the Mediterranean, right in kind of like the furthest point south in France, and also right next to Italy. So they speak a kind of Italian and French mix, but it's a beautiful spoken language. Much better than English that we have here in America. That just sounds horrible 95% of the time when it comes out of our mouths. But while we're over there, the World Cup, it's 2006. So it's World Cup is going on in Germany at that time. And, not really being a big soccer fan. I'm playing soccer, but it's just to play soccer. I'm not actually caring too much. But that's when I kind of fell in love with the sport of soccer, being over there. I remember watching, we're in Paris and we're in these little hotel rooms, and I go next door to my buddy's hotel room and we're all watching the French, national team play. And, throughout the day, we're exploring the city. There's a bar, you could see it from our hotel that, honestly, Kevin, could maybe have fit 50 people at max. And France scores their first goal of the World Cup. Oh my God. These people went ballistic. And we looked out, we jump out onto the balcony, and we're on the top floor. So we're looking out over the balcony, and minimum of 150 people exit this bar, like screaming, yelling, waving French flags, like taking off their like doing all this crazy stuff. And all of a sudden you just hear the police sirens like all over the city because everyone's going nuts over this goal. They miss the fact that France goes and scores 3 more goals and wins 4-0. And then we're in Paris for a couple of days and a couple more games are being played, but it's not France. France then is playing Spain, which is their biggest rival besides Italy, who they inevitably lose to because Zinedine Zidane decides to headbutt somebody.
Oh man, I remember that moment.
Yeah, I do too. But Thierry Henry has became one of my favorite soccer players. Amazing guy to watch.
Also played for your New York Red Bulls.
Yes, he did. After leaving Tottenham and other great English Premier League teams. But we are in Nice and France is playing Spain. Spain is, still the favorite, though France came in very strong for the World Cup that year. And we are up in our hotel room, but we become very good friends and very friendly with the hotel staff. And we're like, hey, all of us are watching it up in our room. There's 12 of us total. You're more than welcome if you can. Come on up. We're having food, drinks, and all that. When I mean drinks, we're having literally soda because we're high school kids. Like, we're not drinking alcohol. We probably could have gotten away with it, but we didn't. So we're having a good time. France scores against Spain. And I run 5 flights downstairs to go tell the staff because they don't have a TV. They don't have anything. And I come down and go, France score, like yelling, screaming there. They jump up and down. They're yelling. They're happy. I run back up. France scores a goal too. I run back down, tell them. But like during this whole time, people are running around the streets of Nice. We saw a guy on top of a car surfing on a car with a French flag. Like, he's holding onto a rope and doing this. Like, it was crazy. So that probably has to be the best time ever. Any sport memory that I've ever been a part of. And I watch the games, but like the environment that you're around when that is going on is unreal. I would highly recommend anyone to go to not a MLS game. Like, yes, I bet some of these games are great. They're probably fun to go to. But go to a national level,
Yeah, you got to go to the national level because that's where the real deal is.
Go to like a U.S. Argentina, U.S. Mexico, U.S. whoever. I went to a U.S. Mexico game in Arizona when I lived out there, and it was awesome. It was a 1-1 draw. I had a beer bottle thrown at my head from the Mexico fans. My buddy, the only reason I knew that was coming is my buddy grabbed me and it flew right here. I would have been knocked out, whatever. Everyone hated each other during the game. But afterwards, we're in the parking lot waiting for the traffic to die down. And we're playing soccer with Mexican fans. Like, we're all having a great time. Like, it was a great game. Mexico,
oh my God,
went up 1-0. We came back, scored. Like, it was all these crazy. I'm like, it was great. So I highly recommend. Like, football games are great. Basketball games are amazing. But soccer is a whole other beast that I think we should really tap into in this country.
I know. I wish I could just get a little bit more into soccer. I have a lot of people that work with me that really, really love it. And I'm just like, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn. Because like, I'll be honest, I don't really get into MLS. I try to get into it whenever there's the World Cup or at least when the U.S. national team is playing. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I did watch them. They did win against Mexico again in the CONCACAF U.S.
Yeah, this USA team is
They did.
I'm
Shout out
hoping,
to the guys.
The next World Cup, I'm really hoping that they can surprise some people and be like, hey, we're finally a real deal. So I'm excited. That's all I've got.
I actually have something that we might have missed.
What did we miss?
So I'm looking back at all of our highlights, and I realized we haven't talked about our ladies. I haven't talked about any of our ladies' highlights. I have a couple I'd like to share. If that's okay with you.
Go right ahead.
Resonate with me.
I have a couple. I have 1 or 2.
Yes. So I have two. So one, we talk about like our games that we've seen live. One of my favorite memories is going ahead and seeing the first ever women to dunk in a second ever women to dunk in the game, but first in the professional level. I remember watching Elisa Leslie. It was a Sunday in California. They played a team that was called the Miami Soul at the time. And I just remember Lisa Leslie, she got the ball on a break. She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but then she just slammed it home. And I remember how much of a big deal they made about that dunk because they've never seen it before. Now you have girls like Brittany Griner and Asia Wilson that just like they just do it. It's on the regulars. There's no news about it anymore because it's what people do now because it's the athletes have evolved. But definitely want to shout out that because I love my WNBA. I try to follow it as much as I can because I love my women from UConn like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. I can go on and on and on about them, but that's definitely one highlight I'd like to share. And let's. I mean, honestly, these women don't get enough credit like they should. Um, let's just be real. They should be getting paid more. I mean, it would be remiss if we didn't talk about our U.S. women's soccer team absolutely crushing it. I mean, the World Cup where they dominated. I remember the first one in 2016 when they were, was it 2016?
Yeah,
No, the one 2016 was where
it
they really
was.
dominated.
So no, it was the 2015 World Cup because that's
Yeah.
so the women play one year, the men play the next year, or it's vice
Yes.
versa, men and then women. And then you have a 4-year gap between the men, a 4-year gap between the women.
Yeah.
So
Because I know when I graduated college, women's soccer was up and coming with like Carly Lloyd. I
mhm.
was when I was working at Rutgers, and I just remember her scoring those goals for them to win like whatever title they won there. And then I remember, and then 2015 was when they crushed it again. So like I love me some Megan Rapinoe. She's so badass. I watched their documentary on HBO Max. It's LFG, what it stands for. Let's fucking go. So if y'all ever get a chance to see that documentary, you'll see how talented some of these ladies are. But that's one thing I wanted to share. Merritt, if you have any that you would like to share, please feel free. Cause I mean, you know what they say out here, who run the world? Girls.
Yes, I have two. I'm going
Okay.
to piggyback off of your last one with the women's soccer team. I remember watching that at Haymakers in
There you
Austin,
go.
Texas. Texas, sorry. If you are ever in Austin, it is a local bar right outside of the Austin area, kind of close to the football stadium. Great little spot. But a bunch of my friends and I went and watched the World Cup final against Japan, where the US scored, I think it was 7 goals.
Out of
Um,
control.
it was ridiculous. That place was rocking and rolling. Like I was wearing my USA jersey. Like we were screaming, yelling, everything. It was unreal. Granted, it's still not the same hype as the World Cup for men, but I do agree this team needs to be represented a little bit more than what they have in all aspects of the world. I think there's some other conversations that need to be had on the financial side of things and other things that
Yes.
pop up that are also not shown on the men's side because they did a breakdown financially. It almost equals out because of different tiers that are in the women's contracts compared to the men's contracts. So it does almost equal out, but we see the big number. That's what we always look at is this big number. And I
Yes.
do agree that the women's number is much smaller than what the men's is. And that number needs to become different. I think it's more prevalent when you look at the NBA and the WNBA when LeBron James goes and wins a title with the Lakers. He was making, I think his bonus was like 10 million bucks for winning it or something. It was something astronomical. Diana Taurasi, one of the best players ever for the WNBA. She wins a title and share bonus was like $100,000. It's like
Yeah, that's what
that.
I mean. And then like, and
That's
also
too too much of a difference. Like
I remember on that same documentary LFG, they talk about like you talked about how it would even out, but you talk about the performance implications of what they have to do to even out. So pretty much it was just saying the men have to make it to this sort of like level or like round of a tournament, where the women, they have to actually freaking win the damn thing in order for them.
Yeah.
So like, yes, they could do all that claims that it evens out, but at the end of the day, like, you're telling me that they have to go ahead and work twice as hard to try and get just to what people would essentially say they could be equaled out. Whereas the men's will only have to like, all right, maybe we only get to here, but you'll get this amount. So this might be a conversation for another podcast. But we can definitely talk about this, because this was definitely a topic that I had people interested in. So yeah,
when we have that kind of podcast, I believe that we should have. I have a couple friends that have played professionally in women's basketball that I think we should definitely have on, that could bring a different point of view.
I would love that.
And I will definitely talk to them. I'm going to throw it out to our alma mater here with this one. The women's West Virginia basketball team winning the Big 12 title the year after I graduated. And that was amazing to see that team. Those girls deserved it. Yaya, Asia, Brooke, Taylor, Jesse, all those girls.
Who else was on that one? There's a lot of
Avery.
Who's the freshmen that year? Is that like Katrina Pardee and all them?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Or she the next year after?
That was the next year. This team was unreal. Like, I loved watching them. Like, I played against them and all that, but like, these girls 100% deserved it. So shout out to them for winning that. So definitely another big moment, but that's what I've got. Kevin, it is now up to you to end this podcast.
Beautiful. Yes. Outro time, people. I don't know what the time frame is at. We definitely went longer.
We're over an hour, but we're not like a normal hour and a half. So we're
perfect. All right. So we're getting better at this. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on the tube. Follow us on our YouTube and watch us at Manly Musings Podcast. We are currently trying to get our Instagram back and running, so follow us there at Manly Musings Podcast as well. Hopefully we can figure it out. I hope we can, because I'd love to share the content that we're doing out here. Follow us at our personal socials as well. If you want to know where those are, just let us know. And again, once again, thank you for tuning in to your Manly Musings, and good night.